There's some people that just seem to have this infinite capacity to get things done and start good habits. When they say, I'm going to start exercising, start reading more, dieting, getting healthy, getting organized, they get it done. But when you go after similar goals, it's a different story. So at one point, I was going through those same issues, having those same problems. I grew frustrated myself and then ended up developing a system that quite literally, you guys, revolutionized my life. So when traditional to-do lists or task lists or checklists really weren't working for me, I developed a habit tracker, or like a habit list that can show longitudinally how you're doing at keeping track of your habits. And once I did this, you guys, the game was over at that point. The game changed for me, for real. So I really want to share with you guys how I did this and how you can do the exact same thing by just buying a few things off of Amazon. It'll cost you less than 40 bucks. All you will need is some whiteboard wallpaper that you can get off of Amazon for like $13, some markers, but some of the whiteboard wallpaper already comes with dry erase markers. But I decided to get my own. I like the thicker markers because they feel better in your hand. You'll also need a magic eraser cleaner. I found that the traditional whiteboard eraser on the whiteboard wallpaper doesn't really work too well after a couple weeks. It tends to just smear some of the dry erase ink around on the page. So I used the Mr. Clean Magic Eraser Cleaner, and you can get those off of Amazon for about $6 for one pack. Other than that, you'll need a straight edge, like some type of ruler or some edge that's light that you can pick up and use to make your lines. I used a piece of a box lid that I had repurposed from something that was shipped to me. I put a long piece of tape on the edge just to make the edge smooth so my lines could stay smooth. And then you'll just need a large wall space to put your whiteboard wallpaper onto. It will change your life, I promise you. Let's get into it. So the first thing you're going to want to do after you put your whiteboard up onto the wall is then draw your habit board or your habit tracker out on paper. You don't want to just go and try to freehand it onto the wall. It's best if you plan out what you plan on doing, or it's best if you plan out what your potential habits will be by first writing them on paper and kind of making a skeleton design here first so you can kind of see what it looks like on smaller scale. So if there was something that you were planning in your head that doesn't really translate to paper, it doesn't really look the same or look how you want it to, or doesn't really function how you want it to, you can just change it real quick without having to erase everything and then redraw lines. So here I've made all my boxes that I plan on attaching to each one of my individual habits. Below that, I made a weekly habit tracker for things that I do once or twice a week. And those things include meal prepping, doing the dishes, doing the laundry. It kind of functions as a reminder of what I should be doing on a given day, and then it allows me to make sure I'm keeping track that I actually got that done. In addition to those two specific task managers, I've made little individual boxes. In each of these boxes, you can put a variety of things. It's kind of up to you. Some ideas include adding a to-do list or adding a set of reminders. Even at one point, I added a motivational quote to one of these boxes that I would change every week. And this was just something that I could look at and, if I was starting to wind down in the day and I just needed a little bit of extra push, I could have, just a little motivational quote there to keep me going. So once you've constructed your habit board on paper, then you'll need to identify the specific set of habits that you want to attack this month. I've been able to establish a pretty respectable list of habits ranging anywhere between 10 and 12 habits that I might be attacking on a daily basis. So once you have established your design and you've gotten your habits written down on paper, it is time to get to work. Let's go. So some tips for you guys if you're just starting out making your habit tracker or you just put together your habit board, try starting small. I have up to like 12 or 13 different boxes or sections for input on my board. But if you're new to habit tracking, or if you're new to the productivity game, or you're not used to structuring your life and you want to get into more structure, probably just start with 2 or 3 different spaces to input habits on your board, just so you don't quickly get overwhelmed. Another pro tip is something that I call habit stacking, and that's when you have one task or one habit that is a trigger that leads into something else. For example, with my morning routine, my stack of habits in the morning includes first waking up and then journaling. Right after journaling, I put on my gym clothes, go to the gym. As soon as I get home from the gym, I meditate. I have associated those tasks with one another, so I've stacked those habits. Journaling, workout, meditate, all in that order. And so once I established that pattern and started doing it every day, it became automatic. It's almost like I'm on autopilot because I stack those habits and then boom, 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 knock those 3 things out for the day, put the 3 X's in the box, and then I can move on. So try to find some tasks that you can piggyback off of one another so you can stack those habits and then start knocking things out back to back. And the purpose of this is just to try to add a little bit more efficiency to your daily routine, freeing up time for other tasks or being able to have yourself a little bit of free time in the evening or at the end of the day. It also can be very useful to create a system of accountability. So if you know somebody else, share this video with them if you think that they would benefit from this, and then both of you can hold each other accountable and see at the end of the week, how many X's did I get? How many X's did you get? You can make it into a friendly competition. I find that accountability helps me because I'm a competitive person, and if I know somebody's out there trying to get more X's in the box than me, I'm not gonna let that happen. And that's a good transition into my last point, which is don't try to aim for 100% success or 100% completion on all these things. It's easy to want to get an X in every single box, but honestly, that's not always completely realistic. I would suggest aiming for a 75 to 80% success rate because you don't want to tempt yourself to become discouraged when you don't hit all the marks. So if you're having a particularly tough week at work or at school, and then you lapsed on one area of your list, you don't want to end up beating yourself up and then getting discouraged and then going down this rabbit hole of despair, like, I didn't hit the goal, I didn't hit the target, maybe this doesn't work, maybe I'll stop. Give yourself some breathing room. Realize that you're not going to hit the mark 100%, but always have an attitude of you're going to improve the next time. All right, you guys, so that pretty much wraps it up for the habit tracker. That's how I use it. That's how I have been tracking all my stuff for the last couple months. And let me tell you, it has been revolutionary to my life. I cannot tell you how much more efficient I've gotten throughout the day on not only remembering the things that I want to have as habits, but also getting them done and executing on the plan. So that has been super helpful to me. Really curious about how you guys plan to use a system like this. So let me know down in the comments how you guys would use a habit tracker and what sort of things that you would put on your own list of habits. I showed you guys mine. I got my morning routine. I have work component, social media component, and my nighttime routine. So that's how I've been staying organized throughout the day. If you guys think this is helpful, if you think this would help somebody else that you know, your mom, your grandma, your brother, sister, your friends, please share this video with them. Let them know how they can go into 2021 being the most productive that they've ever been. I set my whiteboard up starting in January 2021. As of recording this, it's still mid-December of 2020. I plan on going to see my family out of town for like 2 weeks. So when I get back here in January 2021, I can hit the ground running and be as productive as possible leading into the new year, having a good start. I suggest you guys do the same. I'm going to leave some links down in the bio for some of the materials that you need. That includes the whiteboard, some markers, whatever. It should cost less than like $40. It's pretty cheap. And overall, it is 100% worth it. I know that you guys will see a huge turnaround using a system like this. So if you have not already, go ahead and like this video, share this with your best friend, and make sure y'all both subscribe to my channel because I'm going to be putting out more content like this in the future, and I can't wait to see you guys in the next video.